Hello, friends. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. If you can let me know in the comments, make sure our technology is working well. You can see me, hear me, all the things. But thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to introduce this new program we have here at Scrapbook and Cards today of Create with SCT. I am Becki Adams. I'm the community coordinator here at Scrapbook and Cards today. And we are just excited to bring you once a month a we would just want to get together and create with you. Sometimes it will be a scrapbooking, like today, we'll be creating a scrapbooking layout. In other months, we are going to work on some card making projects. So I see so many of you in the comments. I see Leanne, Melanie. I'm not sure if it's Catherine or Megan on the SCT account today, and Jana, Linda, Sherry, Andrea. So many of you are here, and I am so excited to just sit back and chat with you and create a scrapbook layout. So you may or may not know that I'm going to work with the Lovely Lane collection today from our friends at Pinkfresh Studio and my sweet friend Paige Evans. And we're going to work with that collection and also some circle punches. And then at the end of this class, I have a stack of projects over here that I pulled kind of from the archives. I dug into a few of my older albums to share with you that I kind of wanted to give you some more examples of projects that you can create with some circle punches, and I might throw a few other shapes in there as well. So, as I mentioned, I'm Becki Adams. I am coming to you from Southeast Idaho. So, I am about 3 hours north of Salt Lake City, outside of a very small town. My husband Justin, and I have lived here all of our lives, and we're so happy to be raising our family here. So, without further ado, I see that you guys are letting me know in the comments where you're from and maybe a little bit of what the weather is like. This has been kind of a wild year in Idaho. We've had next to no snow. Usually we have a lot of snow and it's really, really cold. And right now I'm looking outside and I can actually see the grass still has a little bit of green to it. So it's been a little bit of a different winter around here, but I know some of you have lots and lots of snow. All right, friends, let's go down to my desk and I want to show you what we've got to work on today. Okay, so as I mentioned, we are working with the Lovely Lane collection. This Let's see, Catherine says, Becki, don't worry, Ontario has all the snow today. I'm glad that somebody's getting snow because it is definitely not Idaho and or Utah right now either. They don't have very much snow, if any, in Utah, I know. Um, anyway, we're working with the Lovely Lane collection. So for those of you that are having a really snowy, cold winter weather, we're going to bring a little bit of some flowers and maybe a little bit of a spring vibe into this project. So I have some of my circle punches out here. Let me know in the comments. I have seven. I actually have 8 circle punches, and friends, I cannot find one of them. I tore my office apart, and I am missing one of my bigger circle punches. But anyway, we are going to be using 6 of them today. It doesn't matter. You can still do this if you have just 1 circle punch, if you have 10 circle punches. It's not a big deal. Whatever you have, we're going to make it work. But I am curious. Let me know how many circle punches you have if you're crafting along with me today. And also let me know if you're creating along with me today, or if you're watching on replay. We are so happy to have you here. Thank you for joining us. And let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if you Anyway, if you need anything. Okay, so before I jumped in to and turned my camera on today, I punched out a few of the circles. And let's see, Leanne says, I don't own any punches, but we use circle dies. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for reminding me to talk about that. If you don't have circle punches, that's no big deal. I am sure that you can find a circle somewhere. Like, honestly, sometimes I will even take a cup that's sitting on my desk, plate, anything that I can find that's a circle. I will trace around that, use it as a template, and go from there. So anything that you can find that's a circle will work for this. Okay, so I have someone says 5, 6, 7, 3 or 4 watching while you're working. I kind of suspect that there are a few of you that are sneaking a little bit of maybe watching a crafty video into your lunchtime while you're at work. Okay, so let's see. Island Girl says she's watching as you do housework. That's what I do. I love to turn on a YouTube video up on my TV while I am cooking or cleaning and just watch while someone creates. And I always pick up something fun that I can use in my crafting later. Okay, so as I mentioned, I have some circles here that I just punched out before I got on camera. I wasn't exactly sure. I didn't want my punch to be super, super loud on my microphone. So I did a lot of the punches beforehand, but we might jump in and need to punch a couple of more circles. I am not exactly sure how many we're going to need, but we're going to make it work. So let me just set these aside here. And most of these, in fact, I think all of these circles that I punched, I just punched from the 6x8 paper pad. In fact, you can see here more towards the front that I've punched quite a few circles off of this or out of this paper pad. So I'm going to set that aside for just a minute. We might need to jump over and use that again, but for now, we're just going to set it aside. And then I have 3 papers that I have pulled to create the layers on my background. And the first thing I'm going to do, so I want this beautiful, let's see, it's called Beautiful Journey pattern paper as the base layer of my background. So I'm just going to quickly trim off the branding strip here. And then these papers I am going to cut down. So this one I am going to cut down to an 8-inch square. And I'm just using my paper trimmer here. So I'm just going to cut the corner off of this paper, an 8-inch square. We will set that just behind us here for a minute. And then I pulled one sheet of cardstock. This cardstock is from Simple Stories. It's a Color Vibe cardstock, and it is in the color Avocado. And I am going to cut this one just slightly bigger than the previous one at 8 1/4. So just a slightly bigger square. I want this one to be just another layer behind this plaid pattern paper that I just cut. We'll set that aside. We won't need those 2 papers anymore. And then I'm just going to layer these 2 squares on top of each other, just like that, to go on my background. But before I adhere that, I'm actually going to put this down on my background. I'm going to use, actually, 1 second. I'm gonna grab, I'm gonna use my T-square ruler because that's the one that is at my fingertips right now. And I'm just gonna make some marks here of about where I want these squares to go so that I will know the placement of my circles. So I'm just going to use a pencil here and just make some light pencil lines. About where I want this square to go. And it doesn't have to be exact. In fact, I looked at that and I just noticed it's a tiny bit crooked, but it's okay. We'll come back and fix that here in just a minute. I'm just going to use this square as kind of guidelines. I'm going to fill this whole border with circles. And so what I'm going to start doing is just taking my tape runner, just checking the comments really quick. Autumn says she has 11 circle punches, 12 if you count the scallop. I love circles too. In fact, I have my scallop circle punch right here. We'll see. We might bring that one in. So I'm just going to start placing these circles around the border of the layout. Some of them I want to go off of the page. Some of them will go a little bit under. Some of them, let's see, in the corners. And I'm just going to start placing these before I started adhering, but we're going to place them. Those ones are a little bit busy. And we're just going to fill up this whole border on this page with circles. Glad Becki follows the SCT rule of pink. Yes, I am following that rule today very closely. Lots of pink today. Lots and lots of pink. So I just want kind of a good balance of the pattern and colors across the page. Thinking maybe some of these smaller circles I'm going to layer on top of the other ones and just kind of build a border of circles. When I was kind of thinking of what I wanted to do in this live, honestly, my idea was like I wanted a border of bubbles was what came to mind. So that's kind of what we're working toward here is a border of bubbles. So, and we want to put something, let's do that. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't have the same patterns touching or really close. Looks like I need some, oh, some green maybe right about there. I think I'm gonna swap this one out for this and we'll start adhering. Dawn is asking, what size punches did you use? That is an excellent question. I have an inch, 3/4 of an inch, 2 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 1/4, and 2-inch are the sizes that I'm working with today. Let's move this up just a little bit and we're going to start adhering these. So I'm not super worried or I'm not worried. We're going to go around and trim off the excess of all of these circles that are on the edges. And I'm just putting a little bit of adhesive down so everything stays in place. Even though I do kind of expect to shift a few things. Okay. Let's see. Laura says question I missed in the beginning. What collection is this? This is the Lovely Lane collection by Pinkfresh Studio and Paige Evans. It was released, I want to say last summer. And it's just one that I have worked with it some, but I still had a little bit here in that I wanted to use up. That's kind of what I'm trying to do this year, is use a lot of the product that I have here in my office. And this is one of those collections that I reached for first, because I love this. This collection is so pretty, and I love the flowers. I know that flowers aren't for everyone, but I love them. Holly says, well, that's fun and easy. It is. It is a really fun, easy technique. It doesn't require a ton of thought or a ton of planning. You just start punching circles and go for it. Let's see, that's a big goal of mine too. My stash has gotten out of control. I think that that's the way a lot of us are feeling, is we have lots of products and we just need a little more time to create with them. And it's a lot more fun if we can do that together. So I'll just stick down these last few circles. I think I bumped a few out of the way here with my arm, my sleeve. You can also adhere these with liquid glue. Another fun technique, and I'll show you an example of this at the end of class, but another fun technique is to stitch around some of the circles before you put them in place. I'm going to move this one just a little bit and put this one right here on the edge. All right, now I'm going to move this in just to kind of see how things are looking, make sure I like how this is coming together. And I do. I think that's looking super cute. Okay, question. Is it better to use tape or glue on a 12 by 12 page? Holly, it is personal preference. For ease, I usually use a tape runner. If you're looking for longevity, like you want to make sure that everything stays together, you do not have to ever touch it again, nothing's going to fall off, then liquid glue is probably what you want to use. Honestly, and I use a lot of liquid glue just for this technique, and while I'm filming, or while I'm teaching live, I didn't want things to shift. And somebody says, yeah, that depends on how decisive you are. Yes, absolutely. That's another reason. You can use a repositionable adhesive if you're indecisive. This tape runner from scrapbook.com, it works well for me if I need to shift things around within, a few minutes. Once you go beyond that, it's permanent. It's pretty well stuck. So while I have this here, I'm just going to go ahead and put this square in place. And I'm just looking to make sure there's a border of about the like equal distance. And then I think I want to, let me reach, see if I have, I do. I'm going to pop the center of this up with foam tape. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and trim off the edges of the circles. Let's see. Island Girl says, yes, so many products to use somehow, even if 2020 in 2025, I was careful about what I purchased and used my stash. I still have so much to go through. Yes, 2026 is going to be the same kind of year. Yep. Whoops, I missed one circle, friends. Hang on. All right, we'll get that in place. Now I think the easiest way to trim off these circles on the edges is just with a pair of scissors and by flipping the background page over. Because then you can see really easily what is on the edge or hanging over the edge. And if you would like to, you can do this a little bit earlier in the process before you have everything in place. So I'll show you here when I'm done, but I'm going to have a few half circles here that we can go back in and add to the page if we'd like to. So I have some of these circles. I think I've gotten it, I think I have enough circles, but this can save you from punching a couple of extra circles if you need to just fill in a couple of spots. Those little bits are really good for that. Okay, so let's go back to adhering this square on the background. I'm just using, this is a 1/4 of an inch foam tape from scrapbook.com. This is black. Honestly, it doesn't matter any color. Black or white will work for this because you'll never see even the edge of it. And I'm just going to put a few strips of that across the back. I think we'll do one more here so we don't want my square to sag. And then we'll remove the backing. Let's see. Hi, Becky. We're snowed in. No plows yet. And it's still snowing. I hope it's nicer where you are. The weather is beautiful where I am, actually. I think it's in, I would have to look at the temperature. I think it's high 40s, low 50s, and it's actually beautiful. But if you're snowed in, that does make it the perfect time to scrapbook. Okay, so I'm taking just a second, friends, to get this, because with this foam adhesive, once I put this down, it is not coming back up. All right, there we have the background done. I am so excited. This looks even better. So I don't know if you guys picture in your head like how you think a project is going to come together. And anyway, I knew this one was going to be cute, but it's actually turning out even better than what I had planned in my head. So I love it when that happens. Okay, now that we have our background done, I'm going to start adding photos, journaling, and title. So I have 2 photos that I'm working with today. These are photos of, they're both 4x3, and they're photos. So that's me, that's my sister, these are her 3 daughters, and this is my daughter. And it's kind of a funny story behind this photo. We were kind of late getting together to celebrate Christmas with my sister and her family because they had the flu over Christmas. And so anyway, we had a little party with them after the holidays. And my mom had found a clearance sale and found a whole bunch of coats that were on clearance for $5 a piece. So we all got an extra Christmas present from my mom of a $5 coat. Anyway, so we're just showing some photos. We took some quick photos of all of us in our new coats. So I have these two photos. I have this circle that I punched from pattern paper, and then I just layered a white cardstock circle on top of it. This is where I'm going to put my journaling. And what I have in mind, and I hope will work, is that I'm going to kind of curve my title around the journaling spot. So I'm going to go ahead and put my photos in place first. Alyssa says $5 coats, what a deal. Yeah, she did get a great deal that day, and we are all super lucky because we were the ones that benefited from it. So she got lots of $5 coats that day. So I'm just using the plaid on the background to line my photos up. And I'm going to use letter stickers from the Lovely Lane collection to create the title. And I know the title, or excuse me, I know I want the title to be warm and cozy. What I haven't figured out, and I want you guys to help me with, is whether I should use these gold stickers, the smaller alphabet, or the larger alphabet. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Andrea says, I love that every time you talk about your mom and your daughter, now I can say I know them. Yes, Andrea did get to meet my mom and my dad and my daughter actually at the Simple Stories retreat in October. So, and I was going to say, and my husband, but I think you'd already met Justin before. But anyway, so let me know in the comments which letter stickers you think would look the best on this, whether I should use the larger letter stickers or the smaller ones. While I'm waiting, there's a few second delay. So I'm just going to open these and have both of them ready. And one thing, see, Laura says, I think the small gold ones. I was just looking to see something that might make a difference in this, in using these ones, is there's not an ampersand, and I don't think I'm going to have enough room to do warm and cozy. Andrea says a mix, which is exactly what I was just going to say. I think that if I use these ones, it's going to have to be a mix of both because I'm going to need to use the smaller ones to do the and portion of the title. Maybe the smaller ones are a mix, one big word and one smaller. Okay, this is what we're going to do, friends. We're going to start out with a mix and see what it looks like and if we have enough room for it. Okay, so let me find the right letters here. I don't know that I can spell and talk at the same time. How's that? I don't want to misspell my title. Oh, Megan's here. Hey, Meg. Okay. All right. I do think I like the look of these bigger letters. I think we're going to go with the bigger letters. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere my circle down. Put that in place. I am going to shift these just a tiny bit over to the right. Excuse me, to the, I guess, my left. Just so that this M isn't hanging off the page quite so far. I don't mind if it's hanging off a little bit. I just don't want it quite so far. I like that. I think that's going to be super cute. All right, so let's move on with cozy. We're going to start with purple this time. We'll see. I bet we can just do the opposite. So that would mean we need a Z in the teal and a pink Y. And this time I think I'm going to need to shift things a little bit further this way. Oh, I'm liking that. I think that's super cute. Okay, we'll set those ones aside, and then I'm just going to get letters to spell out the word "and" out of these little gold puffy stickers. Somebody says, I like the circle title. I think the circle title is fun too. I think it's a little bit different and kind of emphasizes the whole circle theme we've got going on here. Let's see, somebody says, catching some of Becki's ideas to translate to my cards. Yes, this would be such a fun technique to do on cards, to just do a bunch of circles on the background and then do a bigger circle with the sentiment. That would be super cute. And then a fun stamp or die cut there in the middle. Okay, so this is where we are at. I'm going to jump in with some embellishments next. So I have the flowers from this collection, the flower die cuts. I have the puffy stickers, and I have some regular stickers. And I'm thinking that I want to add a few flowers. I think that let's see. I think I need some smaller flowers though. So let me just look through here. I'm thinking I want a little bit of an embellishment cluster right here and right here. So let me just look through and see. That one might be kind of cute and fit. Actually, I think that one's a little bit big too. Maybe just a couple smaller flowers. Kind of like that. And then we'll do the same up here in the corner. The florals in this collection are so cute. So, so cute. Okay, so I'm liking that, but I'm not 100% committed yet. Want to look and see if there's anything else that might work before I start gluing these down. Do like that little pop of yellow right there. Kind of balances that yellow out down there. I also thought it might be fun to add in a heart maybe. I don't know, there's so many fun options. So many fun options. And this is the part in my creative process where I usually get a little bit indecisive. Okay, I'm gonna leave that little heart there and think about that too. And there also might be some fun options in these puffy stickers. I love this one, this puffy sticker that says smiles and laughter. And I want to put that, I'm thinking right here, just on, yeah, I think right here on the corner. And I'm going to put this down with some foam squares, and I'll show you why in just a second. So when I put die cuts or stickers or whatever that overlap my photo, I don't love the adhesive touching my photo. And so I usually put some like really thin pop dots, and then I just peel off the backing of the ones that I know are going to touch the edge. I may have pulled off one too many there. And then I've got my sticker there, but it's not stuck to my photo. And I'll do the same thing when I decide to adhere these. Let me see if there's anything else. There are a couple of tiny little flowers that I might come back to. Let's see, love the flowers. You can't go wrong with hearts. True. You cannot go wrong with hearts. So I'm just going to look at these stickers and see if there are any other ones that fit this story and that would look cute on here. I'm sure there is. I'm just reading through them really quickly. Okay. I think I would want to use the Just Us right now. And I'm going to put this one just right up there. Yeah, I'm liking where this is going. Okay, so I think I am ready to adhere my flowers. And I'm going to do that with just some foam squares. These are 1mm foam squares from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. They are my favorite foam squares. They're just so easy to use. I love that you can choose, different thicknesses, that they have black and white, and I just love them. Okay. This flower is a little bit tall for that spot, so I'm just going to trim the base of the stem off really quick. And don't forget that you can trim, like cut your die cuts to make them work in this spot or make them work for you. I trim my die cuts down all the time and make them work in the space that I need them to. Let's see, Autumn Brown says, I use my circle punches with alpha stamps to make my own alphas. I have tiny ones for little letters and larger ones for bigger letters. That's a great idea. I have done that in the past, but I had forgotten about that technique. That is a super fun idea. That would be really cute with these letter stickers. Those would be really cute with a circle background. In fact, we might try that in just a minute and see what size would work. Okay, so I removed the backing on most of the foam squares that I just put in place, except for right there under that flower, because I don't want that to stick to my photo. And then I'm just going to put this other little flower die cut that has some pink in it right there. And then I do think I want to just tuck this cute little heart here on this side. Just kind of tuck it in there with the flowers. All right, friends, and I think that I'm going to call this one done. Aside from, I will type out my journaling and put it in, print it out and put it in that circle. But I think everything else I want to leave pretty simple, because I don't want to distract too much from my photos, and I really want this cute border that we created with the circle punches to stand out. Let's see. I think my husband is watching. I was just reading through the comments. I'm pretty sure that, yeah. Hi, hun. Okay. Oh, there is one thing. Sorry, one more thing, friends, that I do want to add to this. Is some enamel dots. And I think that it will just be the perfect finishing touch for the border here with circles. So I'm just going to take them randomly and just add to our circle border here. I don't want to do too many, but I think that they will add just a little bit of shine to that border. And let's do a couple more down here. There, and then I think we'll call this one done with a little bit of addition to the enamel dots, and then knowing that I will come back with my journaling. All right, friends. Now I did start ahead of time. So I was just about to say we got that done in probably just over like half an hour, just over half an hour. I did start punching beforehand, but really, friends, that probably took me 5 minutes to punch out all the circles. So we have a project here, a completed layout that came together in less than 45 minutes. So I cannot wait to see. I want you guys, I would love to see you try this. I will make an album in the Scrapbook and Cards Today group. And I don't know, Meg or Catherine, could one of you put the link to the group in the chat? And I will make an album in the group so that if you do try this, I would love to see what you create. Make sure and add it there in the group so everyone can see. And then if you share it on social media, make sure and tag me and Scrapbook and Cards Today so that we can see what you've been working on. Okay, before I let you go, I have a few more projects that I mentioned at the beginning that I pulled from the archives. And friends, some of these I honestly have been like, I dug deep into the archives for some of these. In fact, I'll have to look. I'm not even sure what the dates are. Okay, so here we've got one idea with a circle punch with the border. Now, also, you can use any sort of punch. You could use heart punches, flower punches, square punches. Any of those would work and be super cute. And I'll show you those in just a second. So here's a project that I created a little bit ago. This one was in Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine. I want to say that it was either, I think it was in the fall 2023 issue. I'm not positive, but this one was in a magazine. Oh, okay. Thank you, Meg. Meg put a link to the Facebook group in the chat. If you're not a member of the Facebook group, we would love to have you join. And then please share your projects in there as well. All right. This one is the one that I dug really deep into my albums. Um, Let me think. I have the albums labeled. I do not have the layout labeled. But what I wanted to show you on this one is probably, I don't know. I'm not even going to guess because this little guy is he's probably about 3 in these pictures. And he is almost 15 now. So like 12 years ago. This is not October Afternoon, I don't think. I think this is an older Echo Park collection, but I'm not positive. Meg, now that I'm looking at this, you might be right. It might be October Afternoon. I honestly don't remember. Let's see, someone asked, that's beautiful. Did you add the stitch lines with a gel pen? No, actually, the stitching here I did with my sewing machine and black thread. And then I just used punches to punch out all the circles and to punch out my photos. And then I just kind of layered them all together in one big cluster and stitched around the edges, just added my title, journaling, photos, everything right here in the middle of the layout. This one might look a little familiar to some of you if you were at the Simple Stories retreat. This one uses one big circle, which I did not use a punch for, obviously. I used my circle cutter. But all of these little circles on the edges are punched out. It is a pattern paper that had dark pink polka dots with a light pink background. And then I used about an inch, I think it was a 1-inch circle punch, and punched out all of these circles from the background and made a scalloped border in that. So that's another fun way to use fun way to use the circle punch. Megan says, I hoard every scrap of October Afternoon. Me too. Me too. Somebody says, I have a layout with this collection. It is October Afternoon. Okay, perfect. I could not remember. My best guess was Echo Park, but it definitely could be October Afternoon. Super, super cute collection. All right, this one is one that I made just yesterday, kind of the same technique, but it's in the center of the layout instead of the border. And this one I threw in a few scalloped circles. And again, just used my 6x8 paper pad, punched out a whole bunch of circles and laid them across the page, layered them. I don't know if you can see on camera, it's kind of hard to tell, but some of these are adhered with foam adhesive. And here's one that I wanted to show you. This could easily be done with circle punches. I did not do this one with circle punches. These ones are frames, but I put them in a wreath shape. And that would be another fun way to just put, whether you're using frames or circles or whatever, to put them in a wreath shape to kind of frame your photo, and then adding the title and journaling there in the center of the wreath shape. And last but not least, this one I did, and this one is using a rectangle die set from scrapbook.com. But you could easily translate it into circles and it would look a lot like this one. These two are similar techniques where it's just down the center. I have a whole bunch of shapes of pattern paper and then photo, title, very similar designs on these two. It's just switching up the circles versus the rectangles. One thing I did want to mention too that I forgot is to add some stitching, hand stitching around the circles. Um, that is, they're really easy to stitch, and it adds so much texture and dimension to your project. All right, friends, that is all I have to share with you today. Let me know in the comments. I don't think I have missed any questions, but if I have, would you just pop those the back in the chat? Um, but I haven't seen anyone. You guys are all so sweet. Thank you for your kind words on my projects. Yeah, it is. I didn't think about that. It is kind of a layout share, Catherine. It is a mini layout share at the end of this little class. Great inspiration. Let's see, somebody says, these are all gorgeous and I'm so inspired to get my circle punches out. Yes, I hope that in the coming days in the SCT group, as well as on social media, I see lots of layouts popped up or popping up in my feed with using circle punches. I would love that. That would be so fun to see. Okay, all right, friends, I don't see any questions, so I'm just going to sign off here. I just wanted to thank you so much for joining us for this first series, or the first, I guess, little class in our series of Create with SCT. Make sure you are in the SCT group so that you know when we have our next event or our next class coming up. It will be in February, and I am super, super excited about it. As soon as we have all the details tied up, I will be posting in the group about that, and you can see it on social media as well. Yes, it is once a month. All right. And I think that's everything. So make sure that you are subscribed here to the SCT YouTube channel and that you like this video. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend with me. And I hope that you'll break out your circle punches and give this layout design a try. So thank you again for stopping by, and we'll see you again soon.